Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night version of the Sports Exchange. But we're coming off Confidential, very different order tonight, but I got to admit, I like it. Confidential proceeding of the Sports Exchange and the entire cast of characters that were on Confidential decided to come out over our network and let's talk some sports in general. I want to welcome Candy Ebling back. Welcome back.
Thank you, Scott. Great to be here.
George Eichhorn.
Thank you, Scott. Good to be here again, guys and lady.
And JB Ellis. I don't know how to do a Denzel Snipes introduction. The king of sideline sports and the master of them all. And he does his fair share of shows in a early happy wedding to him and his other half, JB Ellis. And that's probably the most taxing I'll do with my voice. Welcome back, JB.
What's going on, guys?
I'm not in Denzel's league when it comes to that. I have to let this guy do an intro once in a while. Jacob Christner.
Let me put it to you this way. I could try to do Denzel, but I am not a hype man. I'm just the damn pundit out there.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. And next is the man who does the best introductions on the planet. Don't plan on trying to compete with the guy, but you know what? Glad to have him on my team. Denzel Snipes. That's the loudest I've been all day. And if you're asking if I had Mountain Dew, just a little during the day. Otherwise, I've been pretty lame or tame for the whole day.
It's totally ironic that the cast of Confidential is all in succession on the bottom row. No, JB Ellis is actually the king of getting his sneakers stepped on while trying to catch the A train to the Bronx.
Really? That's interesting. I don't know if it's pretty ironic or pretty.
That goes with it. That goes with it, Denzel.
I don't know if it's pretty ironic or pretty planned because JB Ellis gave me the skinny of what we were doing. It just so happened to work out that, hey, 6 is pretty good in my eyes. I've worked with that combination before. So without further delays, we're going back to the Dairy State, Wisconsin bar offering free drinks when Aaron Rodgers loses this season. Tell me how you really feel, folks. Okay. Jack's American Pub in Milwaukee. Tabs have to be open 15 minutes before kickoff. Food isn't included, otherwise they'd be bankrupt. Have to stay for the entire game. The Jets game can't coincide with the Packers game, which happens to be only 4 times a season. Only in Wisconsin can that happen. We got to let Candy Ebling have the first word on this one.
What better promotion could you have? Free drinks and watching Aaron Rodgers lose. Hey, it doesn't get better than that. Does it?
I guess that's your signal, George.
Is that any way to treat your future Hall of Famer? Come on, Candy. I don't care if people are upset or bitter or something like that, but that guy's going to have his jersey retired one year at Lambeau Field, and he's going to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame wearing a Green Bay Packers hat or jersey, whatever they use. I am just flabbergasted that this guy would try a trick like that. But it is
George,
funny.
but it's a promotion.
It's a promotion,
it is funny. And we're all talking about it, and it's gonna draw people into his bar, which is what he's trying to do. Good for him.
I'm just saying that there still are a lot of backers of Aaron Rodgers out there, obviously. But yeah, it's a promotion. I get all that.
Hey, George, you've been in the media your entire life. I don't know. I've been with you practically the whole time. But you haven't done a whole lot in sales. This is sales 101, man.
Oh, yes, right.
You like the promotions when I wine and dine you back in Michigan, don't you? Boy, I'll tell you, they're easy on the credit card, aren't
they? Because it's free.
Exactly.
Hey, stay out of this, Jacob.
All right, JB Ellis, let's see what you think about this incredible Wisconsin, only a Wisconsin thing in Milwaukee.
So what we're saying is free drinks if I drive from Chicago to Milwaukee and I get to watch Aaron Rodgers lose. This is like a dream come true because he's a Jet and we hate the Jets and we hate Aaron Rodgers. This is really good. Drinks and hating things. I'm in.
How far, by the way, are you from Milwaukee?
About an hour and a half.
Oh, you can handle
that.
Yep,
exactly. Actually,
so is Debbie going to be the one driving? Remember, we're not talking spritzers. We're talking about the real stuff here, not the hard stuff.
I'm going to have to get a hotel, obviously.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, Milwaukee's a great town. I got married there. I married there in Miller Park with the woman to my right. Okay, well, yeah, I like the promotion. I'm all for promotions. Now, let's face the reality. This isn't a promotion based on a promotion. Aaron Drama went to the School of Drama, and we all know about it. All right, Mr. Opinion, go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Opinion, Mr. Fact. But anyway, here's the thing about this. There's a caveat to this. There's obvious caveats to this that they're not bringing up. Number one, it's you get free drinks if you see him lose,
Right.
which means he is hoping for wins, because you get enough losses, he's going to get himself broke on a Sunday night. That's number one, because there's going to be people over there like crazy, so he's hoping for wins. Number two, Aaron Rodgers, which means if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and anybody else loses, the deal's off.
Right.
So he's got caveats to this whole situation. The biggest thing about it is that I don't think he thinks that Aaron Rodgers is going to lose a bunch of games. Otherwise, he wouldn't pull this. If there's a 5-12 team, he's going to go broke.
Okay, what do you think, Dens?
Hey,
I know.
hear me out for a second here, okay? It can be at Lambeau Field, 3-degree weather, Kim Kardashian fighting Condoleezza Rice. Free drinks, where do I sign?
Condoleezza a killer.
Agreed.
Yes.
But
What's to make you think that they're not going to pay for food and buy food? If you're staying for a whole game for 3 hours and you're drinking, you're going to start spending money.
Yeah, but drinks
and
cost
buying
more. Drinks
other
cost more
things.
than food though, by far.
Drinks
Well,
cost
they
more.
cost a ton.
Drinks cost more, but also at the same time, Candy has a point, because people. It's the very reason why food trucks are lined up around the corner when bars let out. Okay, people drink, they get hungry. They might actually run out of food before the night is over.
It's understood, but I'm just talking. You're correct on this, guys. But all I'm trying to bring up is drinks. You drop a thing of food at a bar, and I've worked at a bar before. They get a little annoyed. You drop one bottle of beer, and it is like you shot the grandma. The alcohol costs a ton.
Yes,
So
it
this
is.
is a risk. It's like he is risking the whole thing. If they would go 5-12, he's going to lose every Sunday night. He's going to lose in business. If they go 12-5, he's going to gain a pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine how that'll work out. Candy got the final word before I talk about it show.
I think it's a brilliant move because I think it'll bring people in. It's got all of us talking about it. It had Sports Illustrated writing about it. Like, it's a great promotion, great way to publicize this bar. Why not?
Okay. All right. Want to let everybody know the Sports Exchange being broadcast around the world. Audio version of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. We did surpass the 900 mark, by the way. Please also comment, like, and share the
Yay.
broadcast. Want to be a guest? Great.
Denzel's worth the other 100.
Well, we're working on it. Want to be a guest? Participate in the chat room. Things are quiet now. I know everybody's getting up and ready and trying to get ready for bed, but save a little time for us. Otherwise, please send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter at Tribune South. Candy is normally behind the scenes, but she is right in front of us. So the mastermind of this platform is right here with us. So great stuff, Candy. All right, with that said, I don't know why it seems to work out that we get Coyotes topics on this show, but we got a pretty interesting one here. On this date, on August 30th, 2017, Shane Doan announces his retirement from the NHL. Doan was drafted by the original Winnipeg Jets in 1995, played all of his 21 seasons with the Coyotes and Jets franchises. So here's what I'm going to ask each and every one of you. What two words come to mind when you think of Shane Doan? Candy?
I don't know.
Come up with two.
Go to somebody else first.
All right, George.
Troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And what else?
Trouble space maker.
Yeah, that's what it is.
George, you making that two word?
Lifetime Coyote.
Okay. All right, here. You know what? Here we go. One of my buddies out here, Mr. Pensman. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on here. Boy, they're coming out of there. Thanks, Mr. Pensman. We appreciate you coming on. All right, JB, what do you think? Give me 2 words that describes Shane Doan.
Don't know much about him. I'm going to go with George Troublemaker.
Okay.
Mhm.
Jacob Christner.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to say this. Last of an era, 4 words. Last of an era. And the 2 words of bad space ass. It's like,
What?
no, I'm just saying, you can say troublemaker all you get, but he played through a couple of different eras. You know,
Okay.
he played through the eras of like when they grabbed around, there wasn't a whole lot of, and there was a lot of goaltending and a lot of defense, a lot of grabbing. He's played through the offensive eras. Then he's played through the more technical era. And I'm saying these type of things, he's played through these, and that's, you know what that is? That's consistency. And then as you get later in your career, you become the coach and a mentor.
Okay.
So congratulations to him and good luck.
Well, that was a few years ago, but what 2 words?
No, I'm
You
just
did a
saying
good-
that when you talk about that, you said 21 years, so we know it's 2 years, but that's the couple
2
of 3
words.
different eras is what I was
I
bringing
said
up.
2 words, not 2 years.
Yeah. No, but you said 21 years is what I was saying.
Yeah, well, it was 21 years.
Yeah,
He
but that's
played
what
in
I'm
the
saying. I
league.
know it was a few years, but I'm saying that's what I was bringing up. It's what I was bringing up with this. It's like he played through 2, 3 different eras and became a mentor later, and congratulations to him.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Scott, since you're going to come back to me, because I said come back to me, Coyotes family man, because even his son was drafted by the Coyotes in 2021 in the NHL
Okay.
draft.
Fair.
They should have played
You
together,
know what?
and then they could beat each other up on the ice.
Mr. Pensman's helping out Dirty Player in the beginning of his career. Okay, well, Mr. Pensman definitely knows his Coyotes. All right, Denzel.
Don't know much about him, but I will say my 2 words is king consistency. No matter what sport, they don't just let you hang around for 21 years and just take up space.
Right.
All right, and my 2 words are losing, because he did a lot of it there with both of those franchises, and loyalty. That's all. So that's all right. It was just an interesting topic that came out of unaware, and it's hard to see a lot of players these days go out there and play their entire career with a franchise, albeit it relocated. So it's pretty interesting. All right, well, I'll make this topic easier for everybody. All right, you got everyone, y'all. Pat yourself on the back. It wasn't an easy topic, but I thought you deserve a pat on the back anyways for it. And it was different. You won't find those off the wall topics too many other places. Now, if you had to choose one to purchase, okay, we're talking about Lionel Messi, okay. If you want a LA Rams season ticket, would run you $838, and I say season ticket, or Inter Miami at LAFC single tickets $556 for a single ticket. Okay, Candy, I'll let you start first. Which one would you want? Either Inter Miami or the Rams?
Rams. Because it's the season, and I'd rather watch NFL than soccer any day of the week.
George?
I would say the Rams also. NFL is king, and I love watching it just as much as reporting on it. And even though Lionel's done a great job, obviously, so far with Inter Miami, but I'm going to go with the Rams, too.
Yeah, Mr. Pensman agrees. Rams, too. All right, JB.
Talking about, a whole season of watching the Rams against one game for Lionel Messi, who's one of the greatest soccer players of all time.
Right.
I got to take the season, but it's a tough choice. I mean, who knows? Maybe he has an off game. He doesn't do much.
Yeah, then you spend how much money on it? Spend a lot. Okay, Mr. Opinion?
It's the big thing. The big thing I'm going to say with this is I'm going to go with Inter Miami's, because I'll tell you one reason.
Oh, goodness.
It's because it is the Rams, and if Matthew Stafford's out, they don't have a backup, and it's going to be some terrible football. You are guaranteed good soccer with Messi, and they're about to build a 25,000 seat stadium with a bunch of real estate around it in the next 2 or 3 years. And it's going to be exciting. You're going to see and he's going to be around. And guess what? By the time 2025 happens, you're not even going to see Messi. You're probably going to see a Ronaldo. You're probably going to see a Mbappe. You're probably going to see some huge stars come in. So it's going to be the creme de la creme. Meanwhile, the Rams are about to get horrible. Sean McVay is about to leave one day. You know, it's going to go to that, and Matthew Stafford will definitely eventually retire. He's got a bad back. So, and it's going to get really bad really fast. So I'm going to take the Inter Miami.
Okay, that's fair. Good to have some differential here. Jens?
So, if it were LeBron James making his soccer debut, much like Jordan made his baseball debut,
He flopped.
I would have picked the soccer ticket. Exactly, I'd pick the soccer ticket. But in this case, I'm going to pick the Rams on this one. Like Candy said, it's for the season. And then on top of that, okay, if Matt Stafford gets injured, they do have, Stetson Bennett, the 36-year-old rookie.
Oh,
Kind of curious to see
56.
how he would.
56.
I'm kind of curious to see how he would do. He probably is the heir apparent because we don't know how much time Stafford has left. They
He's
still
gonna
got
be garbage.
Cooper Kupp. They still got Aaron Donald. I'm not expecting them to do much noise in the AFC West. But as far as this topic goes, I'm going to take the Rams. Besides, I can sit in SoFi Stadium and point out how many fair weather fans I see out there in LA.
You're pointing at the hot women over there, and you know it.
Some of them will be the fair weather fans too.
Yeah. No, but Stetson Bennett's going to be awful. He's going to be awful because he was a 26-year-old playing against 19-year-olds in college, and then dominating them. Now he's facing 26-year-olds in the 7th year of their league. He's going to get picked off like a mad dog. He's going to be terrible.
Well, I mean, I say the Rams, and you say Stetson Bennett's going to be bad, but you know what? I'll say one thing about the Rams. They're drinking the Georgia football Kool-Aid because the Georgia Bulldogs have won 2 straight, titles. So if you're going to gamble on a guy, you might as well do it from Georgia. Look what happened at TCU. We call that the LA. You talk about an LA earthquake. I don't know what that game was on the Richter scale, but it was pretty high. That's for sure. No, I got to go Rams. I'm sorry. I'm not a big soccer person in the first place. Don't be wrong. I've had a lot of good times covering the sport, covered a lot of good players. And, know it or not, and JB, you're taking the right route, too, over the sideline. You're covering MLS. They're giving you your first real game exposure to covering soccer games. So soccer's a great sport. But I got to mention one thing, though, that I had a couple weeks ago when George Richards, who covers the Florida Panthers, was on my show, Fire Up Florida. You know what he calls the MLS? He calls it AA soccer.
Well, not for long, it won't be. And it's like, I'm just saying, because they're going to be bringing more of those in. And the thing is, when you get a star, celebrities show up. When there's more stars, more celebrities show up. You want to be there. And there's not going to be a pile of celebrities when the Rams are bad. So I'm going to say, you want to be there when Messi and the crew and all the other people are going to be there in that new stadium. So you want to be your face right there and meeting everybody.
Let me tell you, let's face the reality. That stadium situation in Miami has been stagnant for a while. You bring in a guy like Lionel Messi, and all of a sudden he really accelerates the momentum to get that stadium down. What is the area called, Candy? Is it
Scott, hold on. Let me just say, on Monday, Inter Miami announced, and the article, you can read it in the South Florida Tribune, is saying that construction begins on Miami Freedom Park. It's set to open in 2025. It is a 58-acre public park and entertainment district at Miami Freedom Park. They have started construction already. It's going to have a 25,000-seat football-specific stadium, like Jacob said.
Yep, and they're going to have, and you darn well know with Messi around and the stars coming around, there's going to be an exhibition versus probably Man United in AT&T Stadium.
Of course.
And they'll fill the stadium.
Well, don't kid yourself. You know what? At Michigan Stadium, they held Manchester United. I don't know who they played, but they drew a lot of people over at the big house. So
Yep, and we've had soccer at Comerica Park too.
Yeah, let me tell you, Drive Pink Stadium is the best 19,000-seat stadium I have ever seen. You talk about, if you calling this a minor league facility at some point when they ultimately, one goes in Fort Lauderdale and the other one's there. And the worst thing that's ever happened, I've seen some gaudy-looking 19,000-seat stadiums, and I've been to Drive Pink Stadium for not only Miami Hurricane football games, but a few Miami soccer games. That's a heck of a place to play. I mean,
Nebraska women's volleyball is going to fill 90,000 seats.
All right,
They
well,
already
guess
talked
what?
about it. So if they can't, the soccer will.
Well, guess
Soccer
what?
will.
Guess what? That's my next topic.
Mhm.
No, unless you've been stealing my notes through a computer.
No. I can absorb your notes through the computer.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that was the case. Okay, well, I guess that topic's a little better than Shane Doan. Hey, nothing against Shane Doan, but this one's definitely loaded here. Okay, obviously Jacobs took the words out of my mouth. That's not heard when my voice is a little on the horse side. No relation to Mr. Ed, but whatever. Where does Horse and Mr. Head get involved in a broadcast? Well, I'm raspy tonight. All right, anyways, tonight, Nebraska may host the most attended women's sporting event of all time. The Huskers have sold more than 90,000 tickets of Volleyball Day, a doubleheader and concert inside the football stadium, Memorial Stadium. My goodness. All right, you know what, Candy, we got a couple more topics anyway, so we'll start you off with this. And we'll go around. The flow is going really well. So, what are your thoughts about Volleyball Day?
I think it's awesome. I think it's great to finally see some women's sports getting the attention and that they deserve and the attendance that they deserve. I'm all for it.
George.
Happy.
I think beach volleyball is more fun than regular volleyball. I'm just shocked that a state way up where it's at in this continental United States has got 90,000 already committed. It was surprising to me to hear that story, Scott. But I'm like Candy. I'm all for it. If they want to support it, women's sports deserves it, and all the other things that they're going to have associated with that day sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. Hey, let them have it, and it'll be fun for the whole state of Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know how successful the Nebraska football team is going to be. I'll leave that for another night.
Yeah.
But to be able to put 90,000 people for a women's volleyball, more power to them. All right, JB.
Listen, it's about time women's sports get some recognition. Volleyball, it's a fun sport. I don't know if you've ever watched it. Had the opportunity to play when I was younger. I enjoyed it. I'm with George. I do like the beach volleyball. It's only two people, so it's a lot more involved than regular volleyball where you have a whole team out there. But this is great to see people support student athletes. You got 90,000 people there to support the university and women's sports. Great event, great idea. Like to see more things similar to that. Showcase some of these other sports and let everybody get involved.
Yeah, like I say, more power to Nebraska athletics for pulling this one off. All right, Mr. Opinion.
Let's go to the Mr. Fact for a second here. Who's watching? When you're watching beach volleyball, you're not watching for board shorts. Let's just be very honest on this. But the biggest thing is I'm very happy for these women. I really, really am. It's because I have always said, you got to remember, I said it last year on Pundit. I said it on here. I said, and Candy heard me say it. I said, if you give them a chance, just give it a chance. Let's see what happens. You've heard me say that. And, so they're going to fill the stadium. The women are now filling stadiums by themselves. They're now going to get there. And that's why I was bringing up the whole thing with WNBA on one of our shows like we had on Sunday. I said it with WNBA, try to separate from the NBA and see how much of a chance you got, because women's sports are getting bigger. They are getting more crowds. It's like, why? As I said, if the WNBA with the NBA's help will never get a high-paid women. Without the NBA, they can build themselves up in the next 5 to 10 years to get those kind of salaries. They can build up, but they're not going to do it with the NBA. And the thing is, when you have these type of things, you have a 90,000 seat crowd, you have all these women's soccer, and they're getting even pay. This is the whole thing right here. This is the whole deal right here. This is the proof that they want to be able to get the money. Can you prove it? Can you get it?
Denzel?
90,000, you say? I don't even think that stadium had 90,000 when Scott Frost was the head coach of the football team.
Total.
I don't even think
total.
You know what? I don't even think that stadium saw 90K since Tommy Frazier was the quarterback. All right. This is huge news, and congratulations to them, because ultimately, at the end of the day, It's the University of Nebraska. That may be the lone bright spot of sports at that school this year.
Scott Frost once got 90,000 likes for getting fired on Twitter.
Oh, did he really? That's interesting.
So I mean, that's just the thing. So there's not the thing. It's like the women are doing much better than he did.
Well, I'll reiterate what I just said. I commend the Nebraska Athletic Department for doing this. All right.
Well,
2 more
let's
topics.
wait, Scott. Let's just say initially the school hoped to sell seats in 3 sections of the 85,000 seat Memorial Stadium. But when tickets priced at $25 for adults and $5 for children went quickly, officials opened the south end zone seating section and added bleacher seats to accommodate such a large crowd.
Good for them. We don't
Wow.
need to have $5,000 tickets every
Wow.
which way. Let kids come.
All right.
Yep.
So let me give you a little history about my participation in volleyball. For all those people looking for a laugh, I'm going to give it to you. I had a few different ways to go ahead and play volleyball. Number one, because I was kind of tall compared to who I played against. Although, I was always by the net spiking good. Can you imagine me a lot skinnier spiking at the net? 2, I took a bad boys approach there. If you got in my way, you're going to get it in the jaw. And I also used to like to get high so I could tip it over on the front. I wasn't a bad server, but if you put me in the second row, I had problems because I was diving all over the place and sticks and stones didn't break my bones. I was just breaking them, period. That's
Everything else was breaking.
Yeah, well, that's it. Nothing's changed. So there. So that was my degree of volleyball. I guarantee these women play a whole lot better. All right, got to get that out there. All right, onward we go. San Francisco 49ers trade Trey Lance, the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th round pick. Keep Sam Darnold as number 2 backup QB. Candy,
Yes.
what you think?
I mean, great for Trey Lance because obviously he was not going to play behind the other 2. But to think that we're already the 2021 number one draft pick and we're already trading him for only a 4th round. I mean, kudos to Purdy for taking the starting role and running with it. But again, I'm glad for Trey Lance because obviously he was not going to keep playing in San Francisco. Hopefully he can do something in Dallas because we know that Dak doesn't stay healthy all the time.
Or ever.
All right, George, we talked about it last night. Why don't you let this group know what you mentioned last night?
Well, yeah, thanks. She stole my thunder again. That's what I said last night. Jerry Jones is no fool. Some people may call him that, but obviously Trey Lance is good insurance for Dak Prescott, who does get hurt so much, as we know. There's still, give this kid a chance. I mean, obviously, some will say he had his chance. Well, not really, because the way Brock played, I mean, obviously stole the show in San Francisco, but I'm not giving up on him. But yeah, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, you placed so much value on him in that draft, and then now you ended up trading him. I think that it gives him extra incentive, let's put it that way, to succeed in Dallas. And all the more power to him. Let's see if he can do it. He's not going to get many reps unless Dak goes down, though. So it's going to be probably a good year of learning. We'll see.
JB.
Listen, I give San Francisco a lot of credit for taking the loss and making this move. They gave up a lot to get Trey, and to have egg on their face and make the move, a lot of credit. And I give Dallas credit knowing that they need a backup for Dak. He gets hurt frequently. He's their starter. That's not going to change anytime soon. But they now have a backup that should be capable to keep them in games. If you look at the last couple of years, when Dak has gotten hurt, they had that time of the year where they didn't play as well, and it cost them playoff seedings or making the playoffs. So it was a good move by Dallas, and I have a lot of respect for San Francisco owning it and just making the move and moving on, because they weren't saying, "Oh, we got to keep this guy and figure it out," or that's a tough move to make just to say you made a mistake. You gave up a lot to get him.
Okay, Jacob.
Trey Lance said that he was smiling when he heard Dallas. I get it, and I'll say why. It is not necessarily the idea of, okay, you're playing behind Dak or whatever, and you might play. It's the fact that he just went from a calculus level offense to 2+2. Mike McCarthy is a 2007 level meets Mike Ditka offensive mind. He is going to have it so easy to think about, and he's probably going to have 6 plays, and he's athletic. So he's going to be able to actually do something there. He's not got anything to think of. Now, he'd be in trouble if it was Kellen Moore. Now, the only other place he could go was Pittsburgh, because Matt Canada has a crappy offense too. But I'm saying, this is a guy who wants to get himself back into the good graces with a terrible offensive scheme that is boring and practically 1990s, that doesn't have a whole lot of substance to it, and he can look good. That's his main thing. Then he could go start for somebody and say that he can be able to go with a calculus level offense. But right now, at this point in time, you can't go from one to the other, especially when you failed at one.
You know, I will say this, Jacob. What you just said moments ago is probably one of the best analogies that I've ever seen anybody ever say. And I mean this sincerely now, okay? Comparing one offense to another, comparing a situation they had. That was really good. That's all I'm going to say about it. All right, Denzel.
Okay, we got to actually address the elephant in the room here. And that is, in my humble opinion, Brock Purdy I won't say him because it was a team effort here. But we're talking quarterbacks here, okay? Brock Purdy saved John Lynch's job. Everybody on this panel knows. Mm-hmm. Had this had been any other GM and that team fell off, Lynch would have been gone. They would have been gone. They would have been out the door for making a move like this. He needs to send Brock Purdy invites to Thanksgiving and Christmas for the rest of his career, right, because he saved that man's job. You give up how much to get somebody who a lot of people said wasn't first-round worthy in the first place? This is what I keep telling everybody at home. Just because they were drafted in the first round did not mean they should have, okay? He was a first-rounder. Dude, he's a third at best. They reached, period, and everyone knows it, you know? I'm not saying the kid isn't talented, but I mean, come on now. No one else was checking for him. No one else was.
There is one funny. Go ahead, Denzel. Go ahead.
Oh, no. And I'll just say this because Ryan Clark actually posted something on Twitter, and he said, "Are we really letting the 49ers off the hook for making a move like that in the first place?" And I was like, "Well, they made back-to-back NFC Championship games, and well, what does Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and everyone else say? Winning cures all." Yep. And soon enough, this will be forgotten, especially if the Niners win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, let me double up on your comment, Denzel, okay? Mm-hmm. The only way Lynch gets away with this thing is because of Purdy, period. Now, let's kid ourselves, okay? North Dakota State is not a college, okay, that is QBU, okay? I can think of a lot of them. You have Carson Wentz and you have Trey Lance. And how did they turn out? Now, to Trey Lance's credit, the guy only played, 8 or 9 games in college, one during the COVID-19 year, and then he played, 8 or 9 before. So it's not like he played a lot of games. He was developmental. When you really put things in perspective about this whole thing, you know, you ended up with Brock Purdy, but if you're going to go in that direction, you might as well have just taken Mac Jones and be done with it. Because that's what you have with a drop-back quarterback. But as it turns out, the only way in player evaluation that you get away with this is you better hit on a late round pick and you better hope he works out. And you want to talk about the word lucky, Lynch could call him Lucky Lynch because that's exactly what Brock Purdy did to save his job. I'm with you. And by the way, Jake, go back to what I said. Yeah. Your analogy in terms of comparing systems was great. Go ahead.
One thing about my favorite meme about Trey Lance is always he looks like he's playing Patrick Mahomes in a TV movie about Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is so many of the stupid Bears fans, and I continue to call them stupid, we're comparing this to Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky wasn't everybody's line to be a first rounder, even if he wasn't that high. He was still a first round choice to everybody's list. Lance was about third.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
but
is
the
a
one thing
very
you got to
big
understand about
difference.
Mitchell Trubisky is more of a typical drop back type of guy, more suited for the NFL. Where anytime you have a lot of these mobile quarterbacks, you always love the mobility, but sometimes you have to wonder a little bit whether they have whether they can last a while and durability. So when you talk about mobility, what does that lead to? Durability. Well, research it. Mobile quarterbacks take more hits. Their career spans are a little bit shorter. So hey, you know what?
Very
I
true.
do believe that Trey Lance is going to end up making out fine in Dallas. Jerry Jones expects nothing out of him. You know what's going to happen here? I lived it with Jacksonville, okay? Trey Lance is going to have a redshirt year, just like Trevor Lawrence did when he had to deal with the nonsense with Urban Meyer. And
Right.
what does Doug Peterson say? Forget about everything you learned and be glad you collected a paycheck. That's all
There
you
you
have to
go.
do because
Hmm.
you're starting all
Well,
over
that's
again.
what. Yeah.
How did that work out last year? Jacksonville gets in the playoff, and Urban Meyer's on TV, and nobody cares what Urban has to say. JB, we're getting a little wild here. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, listen, like I said, a great move by both sides. Obviously the 49ers reached. It is what it is. It's over. You know, uh, I'm happy with the way it turned out. Dallas still ain't going anywhere, so forget them. The Eagles are the team to worry about in the NFC East. Kills me to say that as a Giant fan. I don't like any of those teams. The Jets, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Redskins, because I don't know who the Commanders are. They don't exist. They're all horrible. I don't like them. Let's go Lions if the Giants aren't going to win.
Hey
Well, as I
Jacob.
say,
Hey Jacob, and one more thing to your point. You
Mhm.
know, you know why it's improper for Bears fans to compare the Trey Lance situation to Trubisky. Trubisky has a 12-win season. Has Trey Lance even played 12 games?
Here and Trubisky also has 2 playoffs, 30 wins. Let's see, 12,000 yards.
Yep.
Every little detail. Perfect? No. Hall of Famer? No. Solid quarterback? Yes.
Yes.
And it's like, which I was bringing up on the list. I was bringing up on the list on the inscriber thing with the chat. There's 5 quarterbacks like that BB could go after if he wouldn't get a Tom Brady. Trubisky's one of them.
Right.
And like a Colt McCoy and all those types. That's like that. They're not Hall of Famers, but they're solid quarterbacks that can drive the ball down the field.
good,
All right.
great points all the way around. My final topic, then I'm going to turn the show over to JB Ellis, okay, is Phillies. Bryce Harper becomes latest member of the 300 home run club. Does that surprise me? How many did he get with the Nationals? I think like 100, and I think got another 200 with the Phillies. Whatever. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but you know what? I've seen Bryce Harper play enough times against the Miami Marlins. I love this kid. He could play in any era, and he's got 300 home runs. He'd probably have more if he wasn't reckless in the field. Who am I to say anything about being reckless? Because I'm reckless in the field too. You tell this whole panel here that when I played softball for a home improvement team, I went through 6 pairs of pants in one season, and the season only
5
had
of them
11
tore.
games. Huh?
5 of them tore.
Oh, they did. Yeah, I had to fight to get through 6 pairs of pants, but it didn't help that I was sliding on gravel and barreling into fences, and the grass wasn't green; it was rough. But Phillies, if you've ever seen Bryce Harper play, this kid here can play in any era, and I hope he gets another 300-400 more. But the question is, can he stay healthy? More power to Bryce. All right, Candy, you've taken pictures of Bryce Harper.
I have. He became the 12th active player to reach this milestone. Good for him. I mean, he hits with a lot of power. He does have. He's got an eye for it. He's good at waiting his turn and watching for the right moments to the right pitches to swing at. He can still have a really good career. I mean, he's had so far he's done so well, but I can still see him playing for a number of years. So you never know where he's gonna end up in that list of home runs. Good for
Yeah,
him.
the only thing you can hope for, he gets a championship. That's what I'm pulling for with Bryce on Horsley. All right, George, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a great player. He always has been one of my favorites too to cover. A lot of power and unfortunately a lot of injuries, like you guys said. That being said, the Phillies are, they pulled a miracle out last year to make it to the World Series, but this year Atlanta is just running away with the division, but that's not Bryce's fault. I mean, he's done a really good job when healthy. He's a leader of that team on and off the field, and congratulations, all the more power to him. But Bryce, you're only 200 plus home runs behind Miguel Cabrera. Put it in perspective.
Aha.
Yeah, over 200 behind the current active leader, which is the Tigers' Cabrera.
Great point, George. All right, JB.
Listen, I don't care. I'm not a Bryce Harper fan. Congratulations to him. He's a great player. I don't have to like him. Him and Garrett Cole can get on a boat, take David Ross and Boone with them, get him out of baseball. I don't like him, but congratulations. He's phenomenal. 300 home runs is not easy, and if he was healthy, he probably about 375 right now.
Easy.
He gets hurt way too much, but he's a heck of a ball player. Just not a fan of him. But I wish him well. I hope he can get to 500 because that's a milestone. I always like seeing players do great things. And speaking of Cabrera, how about the Verlander Cabrera last time they played each other with the tip of the cap? Very classy.
Very much so.
Okay, Jacob.
I'll give it this, polarizing. He can be very polarizing because he makes the game look so darn easy. So then when he makes it easy and he has a struggled time, there's a lot of fans that get mad at him. The Philly fans did for a long dang time. But now he's hitting over 300. And now he's starting to help the drive. And that's the big thing. And it's like, and you got to remember, Washington wins their World Series when they get rid of him. So it's one of those things. So he's very polarizing, but everybody is polarizing when they make the game look easy. LeBron was the same, wasn't he, Denzel? Yes, the polarizing when they make the game look easy. My issue with the LeBron is never his skill. It's always the flop, and it's always a few things I find phony, but it's never the thing. They make the game look easy. That's always going to be polarizing if you don't win. If you win, it doesn't matter because winning cures all, like you brought up. But if it don't win on the spot or you struggle like any other human being would and you make things look easy, then people get mad. And he gets nonchalant. I mean, Jay Cutler made throwing a ball look easy. And he was nonchalant, lazy, narcissistic. He was that. But that was but you got to remember, he got into a divorce because he didn't want to work anymore at all once he was done. Didn't even want to do a thing, wanted to lay on the couch all day. So that's just what his personality is. Wanted to go to a bar at night and bartend just for fun. That's what he is. There are some that are like that, and there's some like Bryce who want to get better. Bryce does want to get better.
Okay, Denzel, you got to find a word on this.
3 words. 3 words. One swing away. I've always felt that about the man. You look at the stats this season, he's at 309 batting average, 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. His OPS is at an 899. This is in an injury season, mind you. And the topic came up on Confidential. Can he, help lead them back to the World Series? I mean, I think he can. The only thing is with last year, no one saw the Phillies coming. This year they do, because they'll make the postseason. They're not catching the Braves, but they didn't catch them last year. Even in last year's between the Mets and the Braves, and the Mets had that 10-game lead, and then they just totally blew it to Atlanta. And then Philly just kind of silently slipped in, and then silently they retired Molina and Pujols. Then they took out the Braves. Then they took out the Padres, And Harper had the swing of his life in Game 5 of the NLCS. This is what I mean by one swing away. That alludes to the polarizing aspect, because you talk about making the game look easy. And since we're talking about Miguel Cabrera making the game look easy, and LeBron James and Bryce Harper, there was another guy who played in San Fran named Barry Bonds who made swinging the bat look easy, and was polarizing in his own right. Well, polarizing, period. Not in his own right, but just period. Listen, Bryce Harper, 300 home runs, absolutely. I think he's got another 10 years left. Can he make 500? I absolutely think so. His one thing is he just has to stay healthy. So, we'll see what happens the rest of the year. Hopefully next season he stays healthier. He's healthy and puts up a more productive regular season.
20 a year, 10 years. Why not, right?
Right.
Like I said, I love the guy that he's old school and plays hard. All right, JB, take it away. And you know what? We might actually have time for a parting shot. So go ahead, JB. Let's talk about the Cubbies.
So, I mean, huge series this week already. They lost Monday to this team from that place where that bar is. What was it called? Milwaukee? The first place team. They were up, 4 games when the series started, the Brewers. Cubs came back and took the last 2. Huge series. Keeps September interesting. The Brewers were on fire before Tuesday. Got to give the Brewers a lot of credit. But if you think about it, before the Brewers went on their tear and Denzel corrected me on Confidential and won 9 in a row, the Cubs were only back 2.5 games. After the series, they're only back 3 games. So the Brewers probably played their best ball of the year and we only lost a half a game. What do you think about that, Jacob?
That's awesome. And I'm going to bring what we'll do. This is our parting shot, correct, Mike? Scott?
I don't know. That's actually a Cubs topic that JB has. You call whatever
You
you
did.
want.
That's the thing. It's like I'm going to do my parting shot here. Then I'm going to say
Okay.
this. This is to the Bears, and this is not all Justin. This is just this whole thing here. This is about Tyson Bagent, the brand new backup for the Chicago Bears, who I am proud of. Love this guy. He has got a Warriors heart, Warriors mentality, and he's very smart. And here's another thing, Chicago. Even if Justin gets hurt, I know he's backup. I know Bagent's backup, and I'm proud of him. Put Peterman in, even if it's going to be hurt and it's horrible.
Don't do it.
What?
Don't do it.
No. I'm saying if it gets hurt. The reason I'm saying this, Denzel, is because the Bears keep throwing these rookies in early when they're not, and they don't. I mean, here's the thing. There's Matt Nagy, now there's Luke Getsy. They're not good OCs. And you don't, and the thing is, mind you, Bagent grips it and rips it. But he needs an OC for that kind of thing. It's like he's got that mindset. I want him to watch all year. I hope Justin plays 17 games. I hope he does, because I want this kid to develop a bit. He was exposed a little in his final game against, you know something? He still had 3 awesome little seeds that he threw, even when he was exposed. But he was also playing first teamers as a D2 UDFA. And he still had 7 for 14. And he still ran for a touchdown. So, I mean, he's got work to do, but let him work. I hope Justin stays healthy, and we'll just see from there. Just I don't want to. Mitch had to come in too early. Justin had to come in too early, all with bad offensive coordinators. Let this be and let it go. Let's figure it out.
All right, JB, a quick question for you. Did you want the Cubs thing to be a crew thing, or was it just your parting shot?
I mean, I think I'd like to end on a great note. Today's victory was even sweeter as they blew a lead and came back and won. So I'm actually going to go out on a high with this and enjoy, taking 2 out of 3 against a really good Brewers team that, we're ahead of schedule right now. The fact that we're even competing with the Brewers this year. So I'm actually really happy with where we are. So I'm going to go out on a high note tonight and leave that at that.
Well, you're leaving it as a parting shot, if I understand you correctly,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I need to know. All right, Denzel, give me your parting shot, please.
All right, just really quick. Shout out to AEW All In London 2023 this past Sunday. It took place in Wembley Stadium in London, England. It broke the professional wrestling world record with 81,035 tickets sold, surpassing WrestleMania 32 and SummerSlam 1992, also ironically held in Wembley Stadium. Listen, I get it, okay? AEW's not at the level of WWE, and they've got some years to go. But I'll tell you this much. 81,000 plus, it's not a joke number. It's not a punk number. AEW basically said, WWE, it's your turn.
Okay, George.
Well, my parting shot is going to be golf. Couple of things. VJ Sins. VJ, longtime golfer, hasn't done anything in 5 years. He loves the course here in Michigan. It's called Warwick Hills, Grand Blanc, outside of Flint. And he did a great job. He won the Alley tournament this past weekend on the Champions Tour. So my hat's off to him. And Brooks Koepka, who has been announced as a member of the Ryder Cup team. Hats off to him too, even though he plays on the rival tour for Live. Obviously, he's a great golfer and he deserved a spot on that Ryder Cup team. So I'm saluting 2 golfers today in my parting shot. One of them here in Michigan, and the other one is going to compete on the international stage when that's contested in Italy next month.
Okay, Candy.
My parting shot is congratulations to Simone Biles. She made history this last weekend, winning her 8th U.S. all-around gymnastics title. She is the oldest woman to do it at age 26. When you think of a sport such as gymnastics and how young the sport has gotten, for someone to take time off for mental health issues and then to come back and to win it, congratulations for her. She knew when she had to walk away and she knew when to come back and she took it to everybody. Congratulations to her. Awesome.
Can I ask you a question, Candy?
Sure.
Because I applaud Simone Biles for taking herself out of the Olympics. That probably had to be the hardest thing in the world. And at the same time as I applaud her, I have no respect for her for the Powerade commercial with the pauses power. Because once you commercialize it, you are now saying your principles mean nothing. So, that to me, and I fight with Deb about this all the time. Like I bring it up like when we start talking about sports, because to me, once you commercialize it, you have no morals about it. And she always says, well, how do you know she got paid for it? She did a commercial. She got
paid.
Yeah. So, I have a lot of respect for the fact that she did it. And maybe if she would have done a PSA, I'd have been all for her. Once she did the Powerade commercial, because what Gatorade doesn't believe that if you have a mental problem, you shouldn't stop. It's only Powerade. So like, how do you feel about that? And I do listen. I give her a lot of credit for doing what she did and winning 8 world championships or U.S. championships. That's phenomenal. I mean, best in the world. But that at the same time, the opposite is where I lose a lot of respect for her as a person. As an athlete, great, but as a person, I lost it for her. What's your thoughts on that?
But again, here it's something that we're talking about. And we're talking mental health is something that so many haven't talked about and swept it under the rug for so long that I think even her benefiting and making a commercial, it's bringing it more to light. And more people are talking about it and more people are doing things about it. And so, I still respect her. I mean,
respect her decision, but once she took money for it, to me, the principle of it's gone. Maybe if she would have had a big announcement like I donated my check from the commercial to whatever organization that deals with something like that, I'd be all for her. I'd be in her corner. But once you take money for something like that, to me, you lost your principles.
The one respect I've got with her whatsoever is she's got a gymnastics training center of her own, especially, and it's not only going to have a physical training center, but a mental training center. And I've got to give that credit considering how much they went through at the U.S. Training Center for Gymnastics with Larry Nassar and everybody else. So I give her credit. She opened something up when everything, instead of letting every other girl deal with all that, she opened something else to make sure they have a training center now, physical and mental.
And Candy, one more thing. Simone Biles is married to Jonathan Owens, who plays for the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers, yes.
She got engaged to him when he was with my Houston Texans, and let this be the first time in history that the Houston Texans ever got near a ring.
Hey, by the way, want to say this? My Jake the Pundit 1 on my TikTok just hit 1,000 viewers 2 minutes ago. 1,000 followers.
Oh, congratulations. All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, my parting shot is a what could have been. What do you mean by what could have been? There's a reason why I brought Shane Doan into this show tonight. Talks about a player staying with the entire organization. I know a lot of you, every one of you were a little unsure about this one, judging by your responses, but I'll tell you one of the reasons I brought him up. Okay. Well, you know what? Earlier, just recently, Steven Strasburg announced his retirement from Major League Baseball. 13 years injured. Don't feel sorry for Steven Strasburg because the Washington Nationals didn't take out an insurance policy on what was left of his contract, so Steven's getting paid. You know what's even better about Steven? Played 13 seasons with one organization. And you know what? He won a world championship. He won't have the numbers to get in the Hall of Fame. But in a time where player movement has never been higher than I've ever seen, George and I could attest to it, where there was never a whole lot of player movement. Now they travel all over the place. It's hard. I'd have a hard time finding players that start their career one place and then finish it. Steven Strasburg is the latest one. I always think of Steven Strasburg when I think of Sandy Koufax, because when you wonder a lot of guys whose careers were cut short due to injury, you wonder what could have been with Steven Strasburg. But at least the Washington Nationals, Montreal Expos have a world championship in their pocket. And to make matters even more interesting, they recently extended the contract of Davey Martinez because they believe in him as a skipper of this team going forward. So kudos to Steven Strasburg. You made the heck out of a career. You were drafted number one, I believe, out of San Diego State, the same as the alma mater as Tony Gwynn. You made another San Diego State Aztec, Tony Gwynn, and all those that are alumnus. Very proud, Steven. You certainly earned my admiration. I wish you well in retirement, but I guarantee one thing, you won't need food stamps. So with that said, that concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange, but we're not done. Candy Ebling is going around the horn and let everybody know how they can go ahead and get a hold of you, right, Candy? Because my voice is very much at the end of the line.
Yours is, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see my pictures on southfloridatribune.com. You can read articles by George, JB, Jacob even has some on there, and Scott, of course, has some on there. www.southfloridatribune.com. You can listen to any of our shows. We have a plethora of shows on our YouTube channel. And in that right corner, right beneath Denzel, is a red YouTube subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for us. Share it with all your friends if you enjoyed this show, or just go to our channel and listen to any others. If you prefer baseball, if you prefer football, if you prefer Michigan topics, Wisconsin topics, Florida topics, you name it, we've got it. Or if you want to talk about some authors, we've got some of those shows on the channel too. South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. You can also hear, if you enjoy listening to podcasts, you can always go to your favorite place to get podcasts and listen to us in the podcast form. You can always see me once in a while on Chicks and Salsa, Tuesday nights at 7:30, or Three Chicks in a Pod. I'm going to be making a guest appearance next week on an LA Lakers show talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's see, what else, Scott? Scott's writing a book. But for Christmas, you're going to have to buy it.
Old school
George
versus new school.
Oh, yeah. Old school versus new school. George, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Speaking of books, I have a book also, and Scott's in the book along with myself. But the book is dedicated to the likes of Ernie Harwell, George Kell, Ray Lane, George Blaha, so many great announcers we've had in Detroit and Michigan. And like Candy mentioned, I write for the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune. And at the end of my column, there's a link to link back to Amazon to order a copy of the book. You can find me on 108 Stitches, Inside the Pigskin, the Pundit's Pundit, and the Sports Exchange. I love this platform, and I love what you're doing, Scott and Candy. I love what you're doing, JB. So it's fun, and it's great to be old school versus new school. I still got a lot of those old school traits. You can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com is the easiest way. Thank you.
Denzel, how can people get a hold of you?
At Nell13, that's NELLI, NEL13 on X or Twitter or whatever Elon Musk wants to call it today. Also Mondays, Top Rope Talk with myself and Jacob Christner. Wednesdays, of course, Confidential. Thursdays, Pundit with some of the fine people on the screen. And of course, Fridays, the Gauntlet. And that's all.
Mr. Pundit.
I have got it. And before I tell you where I'm from, I want to tell you a piece of news we didn't get to here because I just saw it now. Nebraska tight end Eric Gilbert, who left LSU and Georgia, just got arrested for breaking into and for felony burglary for breaking into a vape shop and stealing vapes. He got surrounded by cops. It was on TMZ and TikTok, all over the place. His career is officially over. All for vapes. And he was kicking a door in just to go get vapes. So it's felony burglary. But, geez Louise. But let me say this here. Sunday, Sundays we do the Professor and Pupils with Scott. Mondays we do Top Rope. And soon enough, I think not this week, but the next, we're going to be doing a video. We're going to be doing a Mystery Science Theater 3000 review of Terry Funk, of one of his matches. We're going to be doing that. Wednesday nights, Confidential in this show. Thursday nights, Pundits Pundit. Friday, when I'm off the bench, if they need me, Gauntlet. And I was also in a movie just recently called Betrayal, which will have a red carpet soon, and I will send you guys the clip when it's ready. It was one clip.
JB, how can people get a hold of you?
So I don't have a book. I don't have a movie. I have a sports network called Sideline Sports. And all these great people that you see on the screen are all part of it, whether they're partners or guest or host of their own shows. So I have the greatest of all. And you can reach me at JB_the program on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Just find me on there. Got Confidential and South Florida Tribune on Wednesdays. Sideline Sports and NFL Alumni Media on Tuesday. And next week, the J&J Sports Exchange NFL betting show. That'll be out there as well. So make sure you're watching.
The only thing I'll say about this relationship with Sideline Sports in the eyes of Dick Vitale, although I don't have the awesome baby in my throat tonight, I'm a little extended, but that's exactly what it is. So, working with you guys has been unbelievable, and we got a lot of great things ahead of us. So if it's a little soft, well, sorry, folks. I'm not Mr. Ed tonight. I'm a little bit more hoarse. I tell you. So, meanwhile, all right, go ahead, Candy. Take it.
Wilbur.
All right, finish it off, Candy. You handle it.
You got it. Come on. You can reel it all in.
All right, I'll do the best I can. On behalf of Candy Upland, George Eitorn, JB Ellis, Jacob Christner, and Denzel Sipes. My name is Scott Morgan. We're at the Motor City Mild Mouth tonight. Don't hold your breath. It'll be a little bit mad. I'll have another day to recuperate to get some of it back. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. And we will come back better than ever on next Wednesday night. Meanwhile, take care. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yep.